Hello people, this is Socrates-san. Today I will be responding to this video. Did the apostate prophet approved of incest? Okay. Uh, Detective O'Will, a new Muslim channel, didn't listen to my advice. I said to him, don't do it, please. Don't go there. Don't go to incest. Don't make me expose your incestuous religion. But he felt confident that he will expose atheism with incest. Okay, let's go.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Another video on Apos. In one of Apos' videos, I commented that Apos approved of incest. And I was surprised to see that Apos denied that. He said that he didn't. And as you know me, I don't like to accuse people of things that they have not done. So I went to do some investigation on the topic. Let's give Apos a chance to defend himself.
He also asserted that I said there was nothing wrong with incest.
Incest is okay, you said. Incest is okay.
No, I have never said that either. That is also a lie. What I said during a conversation with Armin Navabi very long ago.
What's wrong with incest?
It has bad health consequences. Like
For the kids,
if you-
right? If it's two sisters, they can't have kids.
Yes, right.
Okay. So if two sisters or if two brothers have incest sexual relationship, there's nothing. I can't see anything wrong with it, right?
Yeah, objectively, there is nothing wrong with it. Let's make
Yeah.
it.
Where's the harm? Where's the harm? Find the harm. Morality means harm.
That doesn't really mean what Mohammed Hijab and others think it means. That was a part of a discussion about incest from a utilitarian perspective, where Armin and I both agreed that incest is bad because it is harmful and we find it disgusting. But thinking about it, we cannot point out that there is anything objectively wrong if the involved parties cannot make babies and therefore hurt anyone, and there is then no harm in that.
The apostate prophet, although he applied the right principle to determine whether incest is morally wrong, related to harm in well-being, he then wrongly assumed that incest that doesn't resolve to babies doesn't include harm. Incest inflicts all kinds of harm beyond just producing defected babies. Incest inflicts social harm on the individual. An individual might lose his job, might lose his friends, he might even lose his family. Okay, his social life is destroyed if people catch him with incest. Okay, so it also harms the family unit. The family unit is destroyed, my friend. Okay, so we have this harm. It conflates maternity with sexuality, or brotherhood with sexuality. That destroys the human psychology. So, more harm. Other harm relating to other psychological issues, like, for example, guilt, all this kind of stuff. So, Muslim apologists try to apply a silly shock effect to win points against atheism, pretending that just because atheists think before they answer, that means that atheism promotes incest. Of course, in contradiction to atheism that doesn't promote incest, Islam, in fact, promotes incest, as we will see later on in this video. So those are childish games that will eventually backfire.
What is meant with there is nothing wrong with it is not that it is acceptable or good or not objectionable. What is meant with that is that with that specific case, there is objectively no harm.
From this clip, it's quite obvious, guys. Armin asks Apos, what's wrong with incest? Apos says there is harm. Then Armin says, for the kids, but if they don't have kids, there will be no harm. And then Apos says, well, objectively, there is nothing wrong with it. And then Armin says, morality is harm. That means they are talking about it from a utilitarian perspective.
Utilitarianism is wrong. Utilitarianism is the doctrine that actions are right if they are useful or for the benefit of the majority. The doctrine that an action is right insofar as it promotes happiness, and that the greatest happiness of the greatest number should be the building principle of contact. That's wrong because it only focuses on happiness. This definition works if we replace the word happiness with the word well-being. But the apostate prophet is referring to the harm principle. The harm principle says that people should be free to act however they wish unless their actions cause harm to somebody else. That's again wrong morally. Okay, so let me give you the right definition. If you add "and to themselves", then this definition works.
And both Armin and Apos agree that incest is wrong and objectionable. But when they say there is nothing wrong, they're talking about harm. So, time to apologize for Apos? Well, no. Not before we go to the original video and check what it says. Because the time I spent refuting Apos taught me never to trust what he uploads in his channel. Let's now go and see the original video. And again, the part which is in yellow color is the part that Apos removed while he was defending himself. And he knew that his gullible fans are too stupid to go and fact check him. Let's go and watch.
Yeah.
Armin, what do you think about cousin marriage?
Cousin marriage. Just make sure you don't have kids.
Yeah.
I go beyond cousin marriage. I don't think there's anything wrong with incest.
What?
Yeah, what's wrong with incest? What's wrong? What's wrong with it? Tell me. I challenge you.
So here we see in contradiction to Muslims who just say that incest is wrong because God said it, God did it. Okay. Here we see atheists actually think. That's a difference. Okay, so that's a very interesting philosophical question. Very interesting philosophical question. The fact that although they got the principle right, they made the wrong, they didn't see all the factors. Okay, they did a mistake, so what? But the principle was right. And the fact that they are thinking is right. In contradiction to Muslims that say, incest is wrong because God said it. God said it. My holy book. My holy book. Okay.
There have been researches made on it, and it has consequences. It has bad health consequences. Like
for the kids, right? If it's two sisters, they can't have kids. So
okay. Sorry, I missed that part. Yes, right.
Okay, so if two sisters or if two brothers have incest sexual relationship, there's nothing. I can't see anything wrong with it, right?
Well, there is actually nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
Here they made the mistake. There is a lot of harm in incest beyond producing defected babies. A lot of harm. Let me give you another harm. The symbolism of incest in societies. It's terrible because it attacks the family unit. Enormous harm, guys. The symbolism of incest in a society attacks directly the family unit. The most essential, the most fundamental building block of family, of societies. Okay, so enormous harm in incest beyond producing defected babies. So they were just wrong that they said that there is no harm other than defected babies. That's wrong.
There's nothing wrong with it, right?
Yeah.
And also, if they're straight, if a brother and sister, if they absolutely make sure that they don't have kids, then there's also nothing wrong with it.
Well, yeah.
I see these are taboo stuff that people are like, what
Don't
the
challenge
fuck?
me.
I challenge you. Tell me what's wrong with it. I can't think of anything. Why people are like, oh, it's gross. Well, then don't do it.
Yeah, objectively, there is nothing wrong with it. Let's make it clear. Objectively,
it's
there is
like
nothing
saying
wrong
like,
with it.
oh, mushrooms are gross. Therefore, we should this immoral to have mushrooms. Well, you don't like mushrooms. Don't eat mushrooms.
You said it to the right person. I hate mushrooms.
Where's the harm? Where's the harm? Find the harm. Morality means harm.
Do you see the difference now when we saw the original video? First, this was not a discussion from a utilitarian perspective. This was a question about cousin marriage.
The apostate prophet and Avid Navadi, sorry about that, apply the right approach. They think or they consider harm. But they need to consider harm on well-being, not harm on happiness. In any way, they have the right approach. They consider that morality is related to harm of something. Okay, so in that sense, they are applying the right approach. I don't understand what you imply, that they just think incest is right because they feel so. What are you saying, sir? I cannot get what you are getting to. Anyway, please continue.
And what do you
Oz-
think about cousin marriage?
Armin said that make sure you don't have kids.
Just make sure you don't have kids.
And then he said, I will go even further.
I go beyond cousin marriage. I don't think there's anything wrong with incest.
I don't see anything wrong with incest. And Abbas was like, what?
Consequences. It has bad health consequences.
Then Armin said, no, I'm talking about two brothers and two sisters.
Two sisters, they can't have kids.
And Abbas was like, oh yeah.
what's wrong?
Okay. Sorry, I missed that part. Yes, right.
Okay.
It clearly shows Abbas' agreement with the idea that two brothers can have sex with each other.
Yeah, because they wrongly assume that there isn't harm in this case. So they are applying the harm principle. Okay, so you are wrong.
Two sisters or two brothers have incest sexual relationship. There's nothing. I can't see anything wrong with it, right?
Well, there is actually nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it, right?
Yeah.
And all
Then Armin went further to say, even if they are straight, a brother and a sister, and they can make sure that they don't have kids, then there is nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
and also if they're straight, if a brother and sister, if they absolutely make sure that they don't have kids, then there's also nothing wrong with it.
And Apos was like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
Well, yeah.
Okay, to end this charade, the apostate prophet, although he had the right approach, considering harm to investigate whether an action is morally wrong or not, he then wrongly assumed that without having babies, there is no harm in incest. The fact that the apostate prophet made an error in evaluation of harm doesn't in no way mean, or doesn't mean, anyway, that atheism or secularism considers incest acceptable. So atheism has no problem. Now, let's go to Islam. Detective, we just proven that atheism has no problem with incest. Now let's go to Islam. Shall we? Shall we? Okay, let's go. Quran 33:50. O Prophet, indeed we have made lawful to you your wives to whom you have given their due compensation, and those your right hand possesses, that means slaves, from what Allah has returned to you of captives, and the daughters of your paternal uncles, your cousins, and the daughters of your paternal aunts, your cousins then, and the daughters of your maternal uncles, your first cousins, that means, and the daughters of your maternal aunts, your first cousins, who immigrated with you, and a believing woman if she gives herself to the Prophet, and if the Prophet wishes to marry her. This is only for you, excluding the other believers. We certainly know what we have made obligatory upon them concerning their wives and those the right hand possess. But this is for you, in order that there will be upon you no discomfort. So, if Muhammad doesn't make sex with his cousin, he has discomfort, eh? So, Mr. Detective, in this verse, Allah advised Muhammad to marry his first cousins. And Muhammad did that. In fact, he married the wife of his adopted son, who happened to be his first cousin. Cannot remember now her name. So, in Islam, incest with first cousins is not just permitted, it's even advocated. So, Islam promotes and advocates incest. Yeah, that is what's happening, Mr. Detective. And let's continue. Men can have sex with daughters born out of wedlock, says Egyptian cleric. Let's see. So, if girl is born out of wedlock, the man can marry her according to these interpretations. What's this? Al-Sahab said. Therefore, means that a man is able to have sex with his illegitimate daughter. He cites the work of one of Islam's most cited jurists, Imam al-Sharif. Scholar urge that this ruling comes from the misinterpretation of the Imam's work. The video was originally recorded in 2012, but have recently resurfaced online, leaving many angry about this ruling. In September, another Egyptian cleric caused shockwaves on social media after he said it's Islamically permissible to marry off a newborn girl. Cleric Mutah Muhammad Mahmoud, also referred to as Abu Yalua, said that during the televised debate on whether the marital age for girls should be so low that if should allow newborn babies to be married off. Okay. He urged that as long as no harm, the harm principle, I see. So, you also apply the harm principle, eh? Now we have the harm principle. Is done to the child, there should be no issue with preventing her from getting married. Before claiming that, in Islamic Sharia, there is no set age for marriage when it comes to females. Oh, really, eh? So this is the cult that will advise atheism about incest, marriage. Okay. So, Mr. Detective, in contradiction to atheism, that in nowhere advise or advocates incest, in fact, is against incest, because that goes against secular morality. In contradiction to atheism, in Islam, we are sure that you allow first cousin marriage, and your God advocates first cousin marriage, and your prophet had sex with his first cousin. And also, it's debatable whether you can marry, you can have sex, in fact, with your illegitimate daughter. In other words, if you make a daughter with a woman you haven't married, you can have sex with your daughter. This is what you are debating. Okay. So the last time I made a video response on Detective O. Will, he said, my response is not worthy to respond in a video. How about this time? You think it's worthy or not? Let's see. Detective O'Neill, I advise you to not respond. Now I had my agents off. Okay, don't do this mistake, my friend. Because, believe me, you won't have a channel after a week if you respond. So, and because you are a young man and still your dreams are, I don't know. Anyway, because you are a young man, I truly advise you not to respond. See ya.